Hey guys, Natalie here. If you're new, welcome. I'd also like to welcome back all of my great subscribers. Thank you for stopping by. Today we're going to be doing some more 4th of July home decor using Dollar Tree and a few recycled items. So if you like what you see, you newbies, why don't you hit that little subscribe heart that's on the lower right hand corner of the screen. Also hit the notification bell so this way YouTube will inform you when I'm back. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nat Creates Crafts. So if you guys are interested in making some inexpensive, beautiful 4th of July home decor, then keep watching. Our first project is the cookie sheet sign. You're going to need one cookie pan, one patriotic towel, jute cord, wired burlap ribbon, Waverly chalk paint in the colors white and elephant, Mod Podge, paint brushes, clear coat spray, spray paint in red, white, and blue, glue gun, glue sticks, cutting pliers, and scissors. We're going to start with our pan and we're going to give it one coat of the elephant paint just on the perimeters of the pan, also coating the inner part of the pan. Make sure you apply one good coat and you're going to let that completely dry. Once it's dry, we're then going to take the Waverly chalk paint in the color white and we're going to do a dry brush. You know I like my dry brush. We're going to do a dry brush technique around the edges and the inner part of our pan. When that's all dry, we're going to give it one good coat of the clear spray. Then we're going to take our nautical rope and we're going to separate it into 3 strands. We're going to paint one strand in red, one strand in white, and one strand in blue. I just want to show you how easy it was spraying it. It really wasn't that bad. When they're completely dry, we're going to tape them to our work surface and we're going to braid it. Now I cut the length of the nautical rope, giving myself about 6 inches extra. We're going to be using that to do our bow, the extra part anyway. Now we're going to take our towel and we're going to place it over our cookie sheet and we're going to measure it so that the design is right in the center. I took my Sharpie and I just made 2 marks so this way I would know exactly where to cut. I then removed it from the pan and I laid it across my work surface, laying it flat, and then I took my ruler and then I aligned my marks and I used a Sharpie just to draw a line. From that point, I'm going to cut where I drew my line, and then because the pattern already has 2 lines, we were able to use that to cut for the width. Then once those 2 sides are cut, we're just going to cut right along the edge at the bottom there. And then it should fit perfectly right into our pan. Now I found this new product that E6000 made, which is a spray. So I thought, why not give it a try? So I put a generous amount on the pan and then I laid the cut towel on it. I did let it dry, but I gotta say, it wasn't really sticking. Maybe for paper? So I just used good old faithful Mod Podge and I just folded the towel halfway down and I just applied a generous coat to 1/2 of the pan and then laid the towel flat and pressed it in. And then I lifted the bottom half and I repeated the same process. And when it completely dried, it was perfect. So now we take our braided nautical rope. I did anchor the back of it. And then we're now going to glue it to the perimeter of the inner corner of our pan. I did glue it at a bit of an angle so it can cover the rough edges of the towel and also the sides of the pan.
I then cut off the excess, but prior to that I just put a little bit of glue to anchor it, and then I used my pliers to cut it off, but save that little piece, we're going to need it for later. Now it's time to apply the hanger. Now I didn't show this for video purposes, but I would highly recommend that you use an all-purpose adhesive to glue the hanger. I made mine short because I didn't want you to see the hanger when I hung it against the wall. But for video purposes, I just used some hot glue. But remember to use a better adhesive. Now it's time to make our bow. I used my burlap ribbon, about a 24-inch piece, and I made one small loop, and then I made a larger loop, and then pinched it in the middle. Now remember that excess jute, we're going to glue those pieces together on the top, and then we're going to use that to wrap the center of our bow. Just make sure you hold it tightly, and then just add a little bit of glue to the back, and then cut off the excess. Then we're going to add a little bit of glue to the top and add our bow. Our sign is all finished. I love the texture, the color, how rustic and farmhouse it looks, and the best part, it costs less than $3 to make. Our next project is the Patriotic Tray. You're going to need 7 large paint sticks. I had mine from a leftover project, but you can get them from Walmart or any hardware store. Jenga blocks. For this project we'll need 16 pieces. 2 patriotic bows, light colored nautical rope, mason jars in the colors red, white, and blue, Waverly chalk paint in the color white, paint brushes, all-purpose adhesive. You can get the one that Dollar Tree sells, but this happens to be my favorite, glue gun, glue sticks, scissors, a ruler and a Sharpie or a pencil to mark with. We're going to start with 3 of our paint sticks. I then used my ruler and I marked it off at 11 inches. Then I aligned the paint sticks together, took my ruler, lined it up where I put the mark, and drew a line. Now for video purposes, I'm going to show you with the miter box and this little hacksaw that I got at Dollar Tree, which you can use to cut. But I love my chop saw and I used that. I also cut an additional 4 pieces at 11.5 inches. So these are the 3 at 11, and the 4 on the top are at 11.5. I then took my 11-inch pieces and took the extra scrap, and we're going to cut 4 additional pieces for the width of the 3 at the base. These are the 4. We're now going to disassemble our patriotic ribbons. They come off fairly easy. They are tied with a little twist tie, and you can pry them apart. Just be careful. You don't want to rip the ribbon, but it does come off fairly easy as shown. Now we're going to take one of our 11.5-inch pieces. We're going to line it up with that ribbon and we're going to cut it to length. These do wrap perfectly around 3/4 of our paint stick. So we're now going to glue it on. We're only going to glue it on either side. So you're going to align your ribbon and you're going to glue it all the way down your 11.5-inch piece. Hold your ribbon tight and then you're going to glue the other side. Just make sure you hold it tight so this way it won't wrinkle. So you're going to glue the whole other side. We're going to do this for 2 of our 11.5-inch pieces and 2 of the shorter pieces. I'm a little ahead of myself, but you'll see. Yeah, it fits perfect. So you're going to have 1, 2, and then 2 of the smaller ones that you're going to cover in the star pattern. Now it's time for the stripe. Because it's at an angle, we're just going to cut one side, make it straight, and then we're going to glue that just like we did with the stars. Now we're going to take our extra piece and we're going to align it. Just add some glue to the surface this time, since it is a smaller piece. Then you're going to flip it over and you're going to cut the excess off. Now you're going to take a little bit of glue to one side, and then I just pressed it against my work surface. It was just easier to manage since the pieces were a little smaller. Now it's time to do our base. I really love this all-purpose adhesive. It just glued instantly. There was no wait time, no gaps. I would highly recommend using that. Now we're going to take our 16 pieces of Jenga block and we're going to glue them 2 each, equaling 8 when we're all done. We're then going to take our base and we're going to glue our 8 pieces of the Jenga blocks. I kind of eyeballed them, but it was about 3 inches, I want to say, in between each piece. So we're going to glue them so that they're standing up straight. You're just going to have to hold them just for a few seconds, but like I said, this glue dries pretty fast. You're going to repeat that process on the other side. Now that it's all dry, we're going to take our stripe pieces. We did have to cover 4 of them. It did take 2 packages of the bows for the striped pieces, but we're going to cover the short ends, which were about 4 inches in width. And then we're going to use our 11.5-inch pieces and we're going to glue them to either side of the base. I decided to paint the inside and the back of my pieces in the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, but I would highly recommend painting first before assembling. Now we're going to assemble the star pieces. This time we're going to align them to the top part of our tray. We're going to start with the shorter pieces just like we did for the bottom, and then we're going to glue the longer pieces on either side. Now it's time for our handles. I used 2 pieces in the light colored nautical rope and I just glued the ends to prevent fraying. I'm not sure exactly how long the pieces were, but you could adjust it to the height of the handles that you'd like. So you're going to glue to one side and then to the other. And then when you're done with that, you're going to repeat that process on the other side of your tray. Now for the mason jars. They do come with these little metal hanging pieces that easily come off. You just have to pry them off a little bit with a plier and it pops right off. I then took a little bit of my jute and I glued it to the top. I just wrapped it to the top. This is the clear one, the red one, and the blue one. Now that our tray is all dry, I'm just going to place my jars right in, and I use them for my plasticware and my napkins. I also made a bow, so again, you tell me which one you guys prefer. Our next project I call the Shining Star. I used one star that I actually bought from Dollar Tree at Christmas time, white spray paint, blue and red party necklaces, a 4th of July necklace, glue gun, glue sticks, all-purpose adhesive, and scissors. We're going to start with our star. It was originally gold, but I had painted it like a beige for Christmas, but now I'm going to paint it again with some white. And when that's all done, we're then going to take our necklaces. We're going to start off with the red. Now for video purposes, I did use hot glue. I would recommend using the all-purpose glue like I showed before for a more permanent hold because we don't want those beads falling off. I just followed the track of the star and I glued the red necklaces. Now for the inner part of the star, I just glued the blue and just cut off where I needed it. The outer part I used about 2 necklaces, and of course for the blue it was 1 necklace and I was just shy 1. So I had to cut up another necklace just for that 1 bead. Now for the inner part, that's where we're going to use the silver one. So I cut about 7 for each strand and just glued them on. Now for the center, I just used a glittery red star. This was quick and easy and turned out pretty. Our next project is the sparkler candle. We're going to need 1 recycled jar. This one I think actually had relish in it. Those red and blue party beads. Another star necklace, but we're only going to use the necklace part. Jute cord, light colored nautical rope, all-purpose adhesive, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. We're going to start with our jar and some jute, and yes, if you know me, we're going to wrap the top part of the jar using a little bit of hot glue and just placing the glue where it's needed. I just use a little bit of hot glue every now and then, but I used a little bit to secure the top, and then I cut off the excess. Now we're going to start with our red beads, and we're going to dab a little bit of hot glue, and we're going to do 1 layer around the perimeter of the jar. Now again, for video purposes, I used hot glue, but I would highly recommend using all-purpose glue because this is not as secure and you don't want to go through all that work just for the beads to fall off. So I repeated the pattern. This time I used the silver necklace, and then I'm going to use the blue necklace, and I'm just going to repeat the pattern, red, silver, and blue. For this project, I think I used maybe a little over 1 red necklace, 1 blue necklace, and 1 silver necklace. I then took a piece of the light nautical rope and I glued it right underneath where I had wrapped the jute at the mouth of the jar. I then just used a Dollar Tree candle in white linen and placed it in the jar, and it's all done. So these are all 3 of the projects I made. I'm just showing you as displays that I'm going to be using for 4th of July. I don't know about you guys, but I think I am liking that bow. Our next project is the 4th of July farmhouse heart. You're going to need 1 4th of July heart plaque, foam scattered stars, that's what we used for the star project, light colored nautical rope, regular nautical rope, Waverly chalk paint in the color white, paint brushes, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. We're going to start by cutting off the hanger off of our heart frame. I don't know why that was so difficult for me to say. We're then going to take the Waverly chalk paint in the color white, and we're going to dry brush it right over the center of our heart, just to soften up the dark edges. And of course, you know, I like to dry brush. Then we're going to take a small piece of jute cord. I put a little bit of glue on either end, and then I threaded it through the back. I then made a knot, cut off the ends, and then glued it. Now we're going to take our light nautical rope, and I just glued it around the inner part of the heart, just following the shape of the frame. When I got to the end, I just cut the nautical rope at a diagonal, and it does fray a little bit more than the regular nautical rope. So just be careful and just add a little bit more glue where needed, just to clean up the frayed ends. I then took the regular nautical rope and I glued it to the outer edge of the heart frame. When you get to the end, you're just going to cut off the excess, making sure you put enough glue on the frayed ends and just tucking it in right at the top. Now we're going to take 3 of our small foam stars in the colors red, white, and blue, I glued the white one to the center, the red one to the left, and the blue one to the right. Another quick and easy project that cost under $2 in materials to make. Our last project is the Welcome Wind Chime. You're going to need one welcome sign. This is the last sign that we used for the last 4th of July tutorial. We're going to use the welcome part. Jute cord, all-purpose adhesive, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. We're going to start by dismantling these wind chimes. I'm sorry I didn't show it in the materials list. I couldn't find a picture, but we're going to need 2 for this project. They come apart fairly easy. We're then going to take the ribbons with the bells and we're going to line them up at a diagonal, cutting the first 3 and then the last 3. The first one should be about 5 inches. We're going to do red, white, blue, red, white, and blue. Then we're going to take our flag ribbon and we're also going to cut that with the ends at a diagonal and lining the top. 1 ribbon should cover for that entire surface. Then we're going to take the second part of our welcome sign from the last tutorial and we're going to make sure it aligns with the ribbon. We're then going to flip it and we're going to glue it with our all-purpose adhesive and the hot glue. So you're going to put 1 drop of each and you're going to attach the ribbons. Now there is about, I think, 1 centimeter in between each one. When that is completely dry, this is what it's going to look like. I then took my jute and I wrapped it around the handle of the welcome sign. And I just secured either end with a little bit of hot glue and then cut off the excess. The last flag ribbon, I just made a simple bow with a double bow, if you will, and then took a piece of jute and tied it in a knot in the back, put a little glue to secure it, cut off the excess, and then glued that to the center of our hanger. And here is my welcome wind chime hanging in my entryway, along with the last 4th of July projects from the other tutorial. Thanks so much for being here with me today, guys. I hope you enjoy making these projects as much as I did. Remember, you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nat Creates Crafts. Please don't forget to subscribe so that this way, hopefully, we'll be seeing each other next time. Until then, happy crafting, God bless, and take care.